I'm Jack Moon, and I'm here with one of my favourite Australian bands, Los Borrachos. From left to right, we have Lucas, Norbert, Kevin, Aaron, and Mick Elliott. So we'll start with Kevin. What's the story behind Los Borrachos?
Los Borrachos came from when I was living in Costa Rica. They used to call me Borracho, and I'd be walking down the street, and there's a bit of a local celebrity, everybody, Borracho, 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 and I didn't know what it meant at the time. I just thought that people were saying hello, and I was hanging out with some girl, and she says, "Why do you let them call you that?" And I said, "Call me what?" Like, "So they're calling you the drunk." And I thought, well, I come by it honestly. We still do it today. We do. Back then we used to say, well, instead of a tip jar, we only accept tequila. So we'd be playing the set, and you go down on one knee, and the idea is you got to keep playing while people pour tequila in your mouth. And so I started a little band there of Los Borrachos, and everywhere I've gone in the world, I haven't stopped drinking tequila yet. So I just keep doing different incarnations of the band Los Borrachos, so that's where it all came from.
There's a stage tech that has tequila specially on reserve for Kevin.
Norbert doesn't give it to me. Norbert's always shaking his head while watching me drink it, wondering when it's going to be the one shot too many.
The band recently played the Coracle Music Festival in Vietnam.
We were just on our way to the Coracle Music Fest, so it wasn't planned, it wasn't really supposed to happen, and then they asked us to come do a good spot at this Coracle Fest, so I put a lot of pressure and made some temporary enemies with the bands trying to kick everyone in the butt, saying, "We got to get out there, got to get out there." And in the end, we pulled it off and we went out, and so Mick and I went and spent 10 days beforehand. Lucas came out for about 5, and then Norbert came out for a couple of days, and then we played the festival.
The new album is sensational. It's called Eddie and The Gravediggers. So what's the story behind this album?
Eddie and The Gravediggers came from a song from the previous album that I put out when I was touring Europe, and I was living in Portugal, and I was inspired by a grave digger who was digging the graves kind of the old-fashioned way, digging by hand, and I wrote a song called Eddie the Gravedigger, and that song's on the previous album. And so this is more of a concept album. There's some of the, like my friends used to call weirdo music, some of the strange stuff on there, but it was supposed to be the songs that Eddie would have written for his band, because in the song Eddie the Gravedigger, he's got a band and he goes and rocks out every weekend, and so this is Eddie's music.
Hey, baby, I'll be gone. Hey, baby, I'll be gone. Gone so long. Hey, baby, I'll be gone. Gone so long, you ain't never gonna find me.
I love the artwork. Who is the artist?
Michael Salmon. Yeah, Michael Salmon's been doing artwork and children's books and TV shows and all sorts of stuff here in Australia for, I believe, 51 years now, and is a bit of a legend. And I've met him at Debonair's lunch that Norbert and I go to. I met him there, and we just got along right away. I loved his artwork, and so I asked him if he wanted to get on board, and he was really excited. Did a fantastic job. Yeah, we'll be working with him again in the future for sure.
Erin, a young lady with a group of high-octane guys. What's your story, and how do you fit in with Los Borrachos?
Okay, so I'm a double bassist for Los Borrachos, but I also play electric bass. I've been involved in music for the last maybe 10 years formally, in the sense of like actively playing, but I've always been a part of it. My dad's also a musician. Somehow Facebook led me to these guys. It's actually really cool. I like it. Because we're all so different, that's what kind of makes our sound. So because you've got such a wide age group and all the experience between us, the influence we all bring creates that individualness that you wouldn't have if, say, it was a group of, I don't know, all 20-year-old girls. It wouldn't, even playing the same music, it wouldn't sound the same.
Now, Norbert, your claim to fame is you were a founding member of Australian Crawl.
Yes, Yeah, way back 40 years ago, yes. I unfortunately departed just before the East Coast tour. And yeah, that's history now.
Must have been a woman.
Yeah, it was a woman. Edit that out.
And Mick, you have quite an impressive CV, all the way back to the great days of Australian pub rock, being a founding member of Sid Rompo, playing at Sunbury Festival.
Oh, I guess so, yeah. Yeah, I've been around for a while. The Australian rock and roll pub scene was insane. It was fantastic. We just toured Australia constantly, made a living, you know. I mean, you're 20-something years old, as long as there was a beer in your hand and a bed to sleep in, you were happy, and a few bucks. You know.
Now, Lucas, you're a multi-instrumentalist. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
It's good fun. I enjoy playing the bone in this band. It's something different. I've mainly, throughout high school, I grew up, I was in a couple of bands, mainly just playing drums, and I'm a guitarist as well. So it's a bit of a change, and it's different, and it's band's full of good people, and I enjoy playing with them. So yeah, it's been good.
And Mick, you briefly filled in for Australian band Stars while the founding member Andy Durant underwent surgery. But what was it like filling in for Andy and playing those signature parts?
Well, it was different for me because I was always the lead guitar player, but it was such a good band, such great songs. I was more than happy to do it. I didn't, and I got my. Noah used to give me a go and solo and all that stuff, and Borrachos used to get up with us a bit in Sydney, and the three of us would go for it and have a good time and all that stuff. No, it was good fun.
And you got to play with the blues legend Bo Diddley. How did that come about?
Yeah, I met some guys in Bundaberg, and they were Sid Rumpo freaks, and we became friends. And they were the backing band for Bo Diddley when he was out here at one time. And so I slotted in, and I, played a few gigs with Bo and here around Australia and stuff. It was great, because he was one of my heroes from way back when, Bo Diddley.
Is the stage dynamic as high octane as the album?
It's dynamite on stage. From the time that Kevin counts 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got to hold on. It's one of the toughest shows I've done on the kit, but it's the most rewarding.
The show's about having a good time. Los Borrachos is about everybody's worked hard all week and you want to go out on the weekend and have a couple drinks and have some fun and let loose. And there's times when we're all just kind of holding on, looking at each other, going, this thing could explode at any time. There's we had our CDs for sale at that Blue Note College of Music, and a woman came in and she picked it up and says, "Oh, my kids would love this," because the artwork came on. It's
Not children appropriate, that one.
We should have put a little warning on the front, maybe on the next one.
Is there a new album on the way?
We've got the songs written for two more albums. We've got a blues album, and for another album of some really original stuff like this, and then a few extra songs that are just floating around. So we just need to get in the studio and do it. It'll probably be in the new year.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for coming to Jack's Place. It's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for having us, Jack.
Thanks.
All right.
I think that Jesus had a daughter. I sat and wondered what he called her. Maybe the name of his mother. And you'd believe it if you saw her.